morning, Shrewsbury, and welcome to Shrewsbury Media Connections' annual coverage of the Memorial Day Parade. And this year is a special one. This is the 150th anniversary of the founding of Memorial Day by the Grand Army of the Republic, more commonly known as the GAR. And it is a blistering 50 degrees out today. Certainly the weather is not cooperating. We usually are treated to beautiful sunny climes and mild weather, and today that's just not going to be the case. We have people right now who have formed here in Town Center. They are eagerly awaiting the parade. It looks like, as always, it will be a wonderful parade. And we are waiting for the parade formation to come through. There has been a program that has occurred down at the town hall that the people in that area have been enjoying. There were some speeches made and the reading of General Logan's orders, and that will occur here in Town Center as well. Right now the crowd is enjoying some music being played by Tortorelli's and getting them all geared up for the live music that will come. Of course, we have our wonderful Shrewsbury High School band and also the Shrewsbury Oak Middle School 8th grade band that will both be playing some selections for us. And I can see in the distance that there are some lights that are starting to flash. It looks like the parade is going to start making its way here to Town Center. One thing that you should all be aware of, I'm not informed as to how long it will be there, but for right now anyway, there is at the Beale School on display an Army truck. It looks like it is a transport truck, and it is there for everyone to be able to see what that Army transport truck would look like. It's an older version. I'm sure they have a much different kind of truck that they're employing today, but we do have vehicles that will come through. We're supposed to have an Army Jeep that comes through here, through the center. We have different older vehicles that will sometimes come through so people can see what was used and how we've evolved into today. This Memorial Day, it actually started out as Decoration Day. It was designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. This was designated by John Logan, the General Commander of the Grand Army of the Republic. It was a Northern Veterans organization. He issued his General Order Number 11 in May of 1868, and that in 1971 became officially a holiday, a federal holiday, and became renamed as Memorial Day. It is a day that we remember our veterans who have passed, but we also have morphed into thanking our veterans and our serving personnel all around the country and the world. Coming in now through Town Center, we have the Shrewsbury Police Department Color Guard, and that will be followed by, we have some our town vehicles coming through. We also have the Shrewsbury Fire Department Color Guard. And we have a fire department, and that is a brush truck and a fire rescue boat. These are new for our town, and they are getting a little bit of a welcome through town. We have some folks that are waving out of the truck, the rescue truck, and as they come through, they will be heading back to the fire department here in the center. And here we have our selectmen. There's John LeBeau, Now we have Senator Michael Moore, Jim Kaine, our Stone Post Master of Ceremonies, Ray Stone Post Master of Ceremonies, John Travers. He's our Master of Ceremonies and will give our welcome. And we have the Shrewsbury High School Band that's marching through right now. A pretty great little riff they've got going there. And we have the Veterans Color Guard that is marching through. We have some Blue Star Mothers and Veterans Inc. Blue Star Mothers and Veterans Inc. and people marching with them in memory of our fallen veterans and our veterans who've served. That's a snappy little red car that's carrying some veterans as well. And we have an Army Jeep coming through with some more veterans waving hello. Some of the vehicles I was speaking to you about. And not all of our vehicles are of the older variety. We have some newer ones that are carrying some veterans today too. We have old school and new school. We have a beautiful looking Mustang coming up that's just going by. And as things form and people get themselves situated here, the parade taking a bit of a momentary lapse here. We have some Boy Scouts coming through. We have, as we all know, a very, very strong scouting organization in Shrewsbury. We have many Boy Scout troops, Girl Scout troops. We have Brownies, Campfire Girls, there we have some more of the Cub Scouts coming through. And some of the parents walking with kids, enjoying the parade. And the crowd is very appreciative. I don't know if you can hear them, but I can see them. There's a wonderful crowd here. Everyone really giving a lot of cheering and applause for all of the veterans and for the kids that are marching, all of the different troops that are marching through. And there's one enthusiastic trooper right there. And just a steady stream of applause. Now, as the troops keep coming through, and I can see that the Girl Scout troops, as you can see, are just going to start making their way here up to our gathering place here in front of our wonderful town library. Place we should all be visiting. It's got so much for you. As we see those troops marching through, we will be having the, after the welcome by, again, John Travers, the Master of Ceremonies, the Gettysburg Address by Jessica Pang. She's the Shrewsbury High Speech and Debate Team member. And we will have a memorial address by Commander, U.S. Navy, Jamie Godwin, retired. We can look forward to that as we have the troops continue to come through. The Girl Scouts have come through, the Brownies are coming through. Wonderful organizations. We see so much of what they do when they come through with their community projects. We see so much of what they do here at the library, where they often will display some of what they're working on. We will have the Pledge of Allegiance by the Shrewsbury Boy Scout Troop 114, and of course the wreath ceremony and salute. as more of the troops march through. That is Greater Miss Worcester who is waving to you, as well as some of the Shrewsbury Sweethearts. That is an organization here in town. It's a pageant organization. And of course we have the Shrewsbury Oak Middle School 8th grade band. And the bands are just so wonderful. They do such a great job. Brian Laporto of the Shrewsbury High School Band, and Tony Oliara of the Shrewsbury Oak Middle School 8th grade band. They both do such wonderful work with the kids. And the bands are just so good and so strong here in town. And our welcoming committee has formed here, and they're kind of getting themselves settled, getting ready to give our program to the awaiting crowd. Again, just a wonderful crowd here is gathered here in Town Center. People are so supportive and appreciative of all of our town members and every service member who has given of their time and their energy, their efforts, and on too many occasions, so very much more than that for all of us. And we are so appreciative, so appreciative of that. And the crowd now kind of surging forward a little bit as they get ready to listen to the program and the remarks. I will say that I'm sure we're going to have some wonderful remarks made by Jamie Godwin. I cannot remember a memorial address that hasn't been moving, touching, inspiring.
Good morning. Welcome to Shrewsbury's 200. I'd like to thank our participants for coming out today, our viewers, and our numerous dignitaries. Senator Michael Moore, State Representative Hannah Kane, from our Board of Selectmen, Jim Kane, John LeBeau, Beth Cassavant, Maurice DiPaolo, and our Chairman of the Selectmen, John LeBeau, Fire Chief Jimmy Vano. And I'd first like to start by asking us at this time if we could please silence our cell phones. Today is historically, in fact, a special day. At the end of the Civil War, this holiday started as Decorations Day. It predominantly started in the South with the decorating of numerous cemeteries. In 1868, however, General Logan declared this as a day to both celebrate those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for the North and the South. So today marks the 150th anniversary of Memorial Day. After World War I, the proclamation was made that from now on this day would honor those fallen in all U.S. wars. Since that time, we have lost over 400,000 in World War II, 36+ thousand in the Korean War, 58+ thousand in the Vietnam War, 148 in the Gulf War, and over 6,000 in the war on terror in places like Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. So we enjoy the privileges we do today due to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. So again, thank you for coming out and sharing this special day with us. We start today's celebration with the Gettysburg Address by Jessica Payne of the Shrewsbury High School Speech and Debate Team.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. we are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of it as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but they can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they have, thus far, so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Thank you, Jessica. Our guest speaker for today is retired Commander Jamie Godwin. Jamie earned his commission through the U.S. Naval Academy at Annapolis. His first tour was as a surface warfare officer aboard the USS Peoria and the USS Russell, guided missile Aegis destroyers in the Pacific Fleet. He then decided to go on and earn his aviator wings, going through flight training at both Pensacola, Florida, and in Texas. His aviation tours included deployments to Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, Operation Iraq Freedom, and Operation Joint Guardian in Kosovo. He then served as the executive officer of the Naval Expeditionary Guard Battalion at Guantanamo Bay during a 15-month hardship tour. Commander Godwin ended up in Shrewsbury with his last assignment at the College of the Holy Cross, teaching Navy ROTC. He started there as the executive officer, or the second in charge. He then became the commanding officer while serving on the faculty. While he was there, he started the Navy ROTC program at Yale University as well. He then retired from the Navy after 30 years of service. He's married to the former Tanya Daniels Bryan of Denver, Colorado. They have 4 children, all of which have graduated or soon will graduate from Shrewsbury High. He now serves as a commercial pilot. I had the privilege of spending 2 years of co-coaching lacrosse with Jamie, and some of the boys would say, "Hey, Mr. Godwin, what's the hardest thing now about being a commercial pilot?" He said, "Well, the easiest thing is I no longer get shot at." So please welcome Commander Godwin.
Thank you, John. Thanks, Colonel Travers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's ceremony, and thank you for attending. And although there are many more worthwhile candidates to be in front of you today, I am nonetheless honored and humbled to have been asked to speak on such an important occasion. First, I'd like to recognize the efforts of Angela Snell and the Veterans Committee and give them a round of applause for setting up this year and every year. Selfishly, Colonel Travers already gave you the history lesson on Memorial Day, taking some of my thunder. Started with the Civil War. During the early 20th century, the occasion has been extended to recognize all Americans who have sacrificed their life during military conflict. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man laid down his life for his friends. Today, we set the day apart to honor all of those now gone who made the cause of America their supreme choice. Show me the manner in which a nation or community cares for its dead, and I will measure with mathematical exactness the tender sympathies of its people, their respect for the laws of the land, and their loyalty to high ideals. The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by our nation. Your presence here today goes a long way towards those thoughts, and I thank you for it. We're here today to honor our heroes, to remember their achievements, their courage, and their dedication, and to say thank you for their sacrifice. Thinking of the heroes who join us in this group today and those who are here only in spirit, a person can't help but feel awed by the enormity of what we encounter. We stand in the midst of patriots and the family and friends of those who have nobly served. The service members we honor today come from all walks of life, but they shared several fundamental qualities: courage, selflessness, dedication, all the qualities needed to serve a cause larger than oneself. Many of them didn't ask to leave their homes to fight on distant battlefields. Many didn't even volunteer. They didn't go to war because they loved fighting. They were called to be part of something bigger than themselves. They rose to the nation's call because they wanted to protect a nation which had given them, indeed us, so much. Since the first shots at Lexington and Concord were fired and the Revolutionary War began, American men and women have been answering the call to the nation's duty. Tens of millions of Americans have fought on battlefields here and abroad to defend our freedoms and way of life, and over 1 million have perished in combat. Over 13,000 sons and daughters of Massachusetts since World War II. Today, our troops continue to make the ultimate sacrifice, and even as we lose troops, more Americans step forward to say, "I'm ready to serve." They follow in the footsteps of generations of great Americans. We have awarded medals to many soldiers, added their names to monuments, and named buildings for them, to honor them for their bravery. But nothing can ever replace the hole left behind by a fallen service member, and no number of medals and ribbons can comfort the ones left behind. I'd like to ask the service members and veterans who are here to raise their hands. Thank you. I can remember my first combat flight over Afghanistan in 2002. Not to compare it to the brave troops who were on the ground, but I was scared. I'd served in harm's way before, but now I was a new husband and new father, and therefore more was at stake. As troubling as it was for me, I'm sure it was worse for my wife and family. I'd like to ask the family members of any service members to raise their hands. We know you've lived through difficult times and often take the heavy load to keep the home fires burning. Thank you for what you have done. Today, people throughout the country will gather together to remember, to honor, and to pay gratitude to those who have served our country. Our gathering is just one small spark in the flame of pride that burns across the nation today and every day. It's one small way we can honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can live in freedom. Your presence here today and that of the people gathering all across America is a tribute to those lost troops and to their families. It is a way to say, we remember. From the soldiers who shivered and starved through the winter at Valley Forge, to the doughboys crouched in the muddy trenches of France, the beaches of Iwo Jima and Normandy, to platoons who patrol the hazy jungles of Vietnam, and the young men and women patrolling the mountains of Afghanistan, and Iraq and Syria today, we remember and honor all of them. Thank you for attending today. God bless you, your families, our troops, and the United States.
Thank you, Commander, for those very special words on a very special day. We now have a selection of military and patriotic songs played by the Oak Middle School 8th grade band. Thank you, middle school, 8th grade band. That was excellent. I realize it takes a lot of countless hours to prepare for a day like today, so we appreciate you doing that for us. We will now be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Scouts from Troop 114, Jacob Hendricks and Varun Samaya. So Scouts, please make sure you'll bring your units to attention and present arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now have the wreath ceremony and salute by Victor Cronta, Post 397 from the American Legion, and taps played by members of the Shrewsbury High School Band. Scouts, again, you'll please bring your units to attention. this concludes our section at the center of town. But before we move down to the Mountain View Cemetery, I ask that you kind of stay in place for a few minutes to give us time to get our veterans back in their car and get the procession moving again. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good job.
And that concludes our programming here in Town Center, and it was a simply lovely program. Again, this is the 150th anniversary of the founding of Memorial Day, and it was simple. It was beautiful. The comments by Jamie Godwin just heartfelt. The crowd clearly very moved. Rapt attention during the entire program, and I think everyone here just did a beautiful job. We will be continuing on to the Mountain View Cemetery for further program, but we will be bringing that to you on a repeat of this program this evening at both 7 and 9 on Channel 28, Shrewsbury Media Connections Channel 28. We will be repeating this programming. It will include coverage of the cemetery proceedings as well. But we are going to be leaving you here as a live program. We thank you as always for joining us. This has been Melanie Arisian for Shrewsbury Media Connection, along with Paul Gustafson, who is our producer. We have been doing this parade together now, I believe it's for 28 years, not quite the 150 of the Memorial Day parade founding, but we have been doing this together for, I think it's been 28 years, and it's been our pleasure to bring this to you every year. The crowd is proceeding along. We will be leaving you, and on behalf of all of us and all of the veterans in our families in our lives, we thank you and we wish you a good rest of your Memorial Day.
We will now have the national anthem presented by members of the Shrewsbury High School a cappella choir. Scouts, please bring your units to attention and present arms.
Salute!
Thank you. If I could sing 1,000 like that, I'd be pretty happy. They're pretty amazing, aren't they? Now we will please have the reading of General Logan's orders by Preston Karp, a member of Shrewsbury High School speech and debate team.
The 30th day of May, 1868, is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. In this observance, no form or ceremony is prescribed, but posts and comrades will, in their own way, arrange such fitting services and testimonials of respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized, comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of preserving and strengthening those kind and fraternal feelings which have bound together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who united to suppress the late rebellion. What can aid more result than by cherishing tenderly the memory of the dead who made their breasts a barricade between our country and its foe? Their soldier lives were the reveille of freedom to a race in chains, and their death a tattoo of rebellious tyranny in arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. All that the consecrated wealth and taste of the nation can add to their adornment and security is but a fitting tribute to the memory of her slain defenders. Let no wanton foot tread rudely on such hallowed grounds. Let pleasant paths invite the coming and going of reverent visitors and found mourners. Let no vandalism of avarice or neglect, no ravages of time, testify to the present or to the coming generations that we as a people have forgotten the cost of free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull, and other hands slack, and other hearts cold in the solemn trust, ours shall keep it well as long as the light and warmth of life remain in us. Let us then, at the time appointed, gather around their sacred remains, and garland the passionless mounds above them with the choicest flowers of springtime. Let us raise above them the dear old flag they saved from dishonor. Let us, in this solemn presence, renew our pledges to aid and assist those whom they have left among us as sacred charges upon the nation's gratitude, the soldiers and sailors, widow and orphan. It is the purpose of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance with the hope it will be kept up from year to year, while a survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades. He earnestly desires the public press to call attention to this order and lend its friendly aid in bringing it to the notice of comrades in all parts of the country in time for simultaneous compliance therewith. Department commanders will use every effort to make this order effective. By command of John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief.
Thank you, Preston. I hope on the 150th anniversary of General Logan's proclamation that he'd be proud with the way that we continue to honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Now we will have a wreath ceremony and salute by Post 238, American Legions, with taps played by the Shrewsbury High School band members. I ask Monsignor Rose to please come forward and lead us in a benediction.
Let us pray. Lord God, pour forth your blessings upon this community and upon our nation. For the gifts that we have received, we give you thanks. For the work that is yet to be accomplished, we ask your inspiration. As we come to this place of peaceful rest, we remember all who lie here. We have marked the graves of our veterans and remember and honor in a special way those who have offered their lives in service to our country. May the freedom, justice, and peace they sought be ours in this generation and for the ages to come. Amen.
Thank you, Monsignor. We will now hear a selection of patriotic melodies by the Shrewsbury High School Band. Thank you, Mr. Laporto and the band members, especially thanks to the seniors who will be graduating and still took time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. So that ends today's ceremony. I want to thank all of our parade participants, our elected officials, Angela Snell from Parks and Rec and all her crew to do such a great job of decorating. Special thanks to the Girl Scouts who placed the flags at the cemetery, and the Cub Pack 114 who did the decorating in memorial squares. At the conclusion of the parade, Braystone Post will invite all veterans back to a barbecue at the post. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and again, take a moment to think about those who have fallen and the families that are left behind. Thank you.